that I do not have.
Now, I think we're talking at cross purposes. I'm saying, I'm asking Mr. Baloyi whether all these affidavits by this witness are made in terms of Section 212 of the Criminal Procedure Act.
It is so.
And we all know the legal consequences arising therefrom. We all know that.
Indeed so.
Are you going to call your client's expert?
We are busy in discussion with that, my lord. We have engaged somebody, they're busy raising funds for that, my lord.
You haven't consulted him.
We haven't consulted with him, my lord.
Mr. Mnisi, are you calling your client?
That's the same position, madam. We'll be using a joint experts.
Right?
Thank you.
That is the same position. Thank you. It is this.
My lord, we are in discussion with that expert.
So, what's the name of the expert?
It's Mr. J.C. de Klerk. He's working for
Mr.
J.C. de Klerk.
J.C. de Klerk.
Yes, he's in partnership with Mr. Stale.
Now, when this witness finishes with his evidence, what's going to be the position?
We will meet and consult, my lord, because we, like I say, there's a financial constraint on behalf of our clients. We've received the quotation from the expert. They are busy with their family members trying to sort out the finance for that, my lord.
So he hasn't yet been instructed in
He
other
hasn't
words.
been instructed financially or in terms of material, my lord.
Okay. Mr.
As a court, please, my lord. Then the next exhibit that the witness will be referring to, it's a new exhibit that we've marked Exhibit X in brackets 13D. Yes, 13D. It's a Section 212 statement by Warrant Officer Rule Officer.
Rule officer.
Yes, Rule Officer.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Then the witness has prepared a court chart that he'll be referring to. It's a new exhibit. It's been marked Exhibit X in brackets 13, in brackets E1 up to 5, up to E5. It consists of 5 pages. It's E1, E2, E3, E4, and E5.
All right.
Then the witness will also be referring to an exhibit which has already been handed up. It's Exhibit X2. That is the extract of the firearm transfer register. That's the one that Captain Charlie testified about.
Okay. All right.
The witness will also be referring to Exhibit S. Exhibit S is the download of the cell phone that was found in accused number 3's possession.
Okay.
Then a new physical exhibit will be handed up. It will be Exhibit X2, is the firearm in question. There's already Exhibit X1, which is the interview between Ms. Zandi Kumalo.
Yeah. So this is X2.
That one is X1. The firearm will be X2, my lord.
Fine. Okay.
We can assure the court that the firearm has been made safe.
You mustn't adduce evidence.
Yes. So there'll be no unpleasant incidents, my lord.
Yeah, fine. All right.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Just state your rank.
I'm a lieutenant colonel in the SAPS, my lord.
Lieutenant Kennelige emaphoyiseni.
And where are you attached?
I'm attached to the ballistic section of the Forensic Science Laboratory in Silverton.
Ngisebenzela ke le section noma unit ke ema ballistics forensic laboratory Silverton.
In what capacity?
As a forensic analyst and crime scene reconstruction specialist.
Nanjengomuntu owenza noma ke ohlola noma ohlaziyayo ke nokuthi ke aye kusona noma oyi specialist ke sazo indawo yegameko noma ke e crime scene.
Is it that in common parlance you're called a ballistic expert?
That's correct, my lord.
Nacho ukuthi ungoti ke uyibham.
How many years service?
I'm 29 years in the police and then 28 years at the ballistic section.
Neminyaka u29 ngisemaphoyiseni u28 ke ngiyona ke unit lena ema ballistic.
Just want to show you exhibit X13 in brackets A. Can you identify that document for the court?
Yes, my lord, I can identify this document.
Exhibit 13A yebo ngiyamazi ke lo ophambi kwami.
Is that your affidavit?
That's correct, my lord.
Istatement esami esifungelwe.
What is the date thereof?
The date that it was signed.
Yes.
It was signed on the 5th of November 2014.
Sange 5 November 2014.
Right, you can go ahead and place the contents thereof on record.
My lord, I'll start with paragraph 2.
No, start at paragraph 1.
Okay,
In case this case goes somewhere else. Okay.
I'll do so, my lord. I number 0471799/6. I am a captain, or was a captain by then, in the South African Police Services and in service of the state. I am attached to the ballistic section of the Forensic Science Laboratory.
Can you read?
I have been attached to the ballistic section since 1995 as an examiner of forensics, ballistic-related cases. I have up-to-date examined an excess of 5,620 cases. I examine ballistics-related cases as part of my daily task and testify on a regular basis in the courts of South Africa. I have successfully completed a 3-year in-service training course at the ballistics section in the theoretical practical application of forensic ballistic science.
Imininingwane yakhe, sorry.
With the concurrence of everybody here, don't you think it's, because you say it's 15 pages?
Oh, it's 22 pages.
22
my
pages.
lord. Yes.
Why
but-
doesn't the kernel read
Yes.
so that there's congruity? Are you with me?
Yes.
And then you will interpret the document to the accused after that.
That's a good business.
Yeah, because this is science document. You must read. If it goes anywhere else, fine. It will be interpreted to the accused thereafter in full. Paragraph by paragraph, Mr. Jonas. Is it okay? Thanks. Yebo.
Paragraph 2.1. I have received in-service training in the following aspects of the forensic ballistic science: identification of ammunition, fired bullets and fired cartridge cases, the use of microscopic equipment, microscopic individualization of firearms, ammunition, fired bullets and cartridge cases, microphotography, identification of firearms, examination of firearm mechanism, the different manufacturing processes of firearm and firearm components, examination of homemade devices, techniques associated with the recovery and restoration process of obliterated alphanumeric figures on the metal, the reloading of ammunition and manufacturing processes of ammunition, the short-range determination, crime scene investigation and examination techniques, the taking of photographs, documentation of the results during investigation, microscopic individualization of tools and tool mark, physical matching, and then we have what we call internal ballistics. Internal ballistics is the functioning of a firearm mechanism during the firing process, the burning rate of propellant powder and gas pressure, the transfer of marks by firearm to cartridges, cartridge cases, and fired bullets. And intermediate forensic ballistics, the effect that hot gases, propellant powder, and partially bent propellant powder has on intermediate targets before and after exit of the bullet from the muzzle of the firearm, the forming and effect of secondary missiles caused by intermediate targets, and the external forensic ballistics, the trajectory of a bullet from the muzzle of the firearm to the final point of impact, and terminal ballistics, terminal forensic ballistics, the wounding effect that the bullet has on tissue, which is wound ballistics, the effect that the bullet has on the target, and vice versa, the effect that the target has on the bullet. I visited the firearm and ammunition manufacturers to ascertain for myself which processes are used in the manufacturing of firearms and ammunition. Locally, I visited LEW, which is Littleton Engineering Works. I visited Truvelo. I visited New Generations Ammunition, which is NGA. I visited Somchem, Swart Labs, and in foreign countries, I visited Norinco in China. During August to September 2002, I attended the course presented by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI of the United States, which comprises of the following: the bullet trajectory reconstruction, techniques in firearm identification, gunpowder and gunshot residue. During November 2010, I attended the course presented by Ross M. Gardner of Bevel Gardner and Associates from the United States also, which comprises of the following: the bloodstain pattern analysis, level 1, bloodstain pattern analysis, level 2, and crime scene reconstruction, level 1. In 2012, but it's not on this, I also did the advanced bloodstain pattern analysis with Ross Gardner. In 2.9, I have obtained a national diploma in policy with the University of South Africa.
Yeah, right. You can interpret for the persons in court. Because now we're starting with your investigative
Mina
analysis.
ke chaza ke inamba yasesiphoyiseni owukapteni ke kumaphoyisa ese-South Africa uthi ke wayewukapteni ngaleso sikhathi ke so-Lieutenant Colonel manje ke futhi ngisebenzela wona ke umbuso, ngisebenza kuwona ke ihlangatho noma ke isection yama-ballistic noma esebenza nge-IBAM. Ngisebenzile kule unit noma ngaqala ukusebenza kuyona ke ngo-1995 nanjengomuntu obheka ke noma ohlolisisa ke ama-case aphathelene noma amacala amayelana ne-IBAM, ukuze kube manje ke sengibhekene noma sengihlole ama-case awu-5,620 futhi ke lamacala lana ngiwabheka ke noma ngisebenza ngawo ke ilanga nelanga futhi kunikeza ngobufakazi kuyinkantolo zala eNingizimu Afrika. Ngenza ke service noma ke in service phakathi ke emaphoyiseni yeminyaka emithathu emala nawo ke ama ballistic. Ngathola ke le in service training elandelayo kuona ema forensic ballistic science ukubheka nokwazi ukubona ukuthi inhlamvu lezi inhlamvu eseyisebenzile kanye futhi namagobolondo asebenzile uma sekusetshenziswa ke lokhu okubizwa ngokuthi i-microscope kanye futhi ke uma usebenzisa yona ke i-microscope kanye ke nokusebenzisa yona i-microscope ukuthi uhlukaniseke phakathi kweyibhamu inhlamvu kanye futhi nezinhlamvu ezisetshenzisiwe kanye futhi nawo amagobolondo nokwazi futhi ukwahlukanisa izibhamu nezinhlobo futhi ke noma ukusebenza kwazo izibhamu inhlobo ezahlukahlukene zezibhamu noma zokwenziwa kwazo izibhamu kanye futhi naloko okuhambisana nako kanye futhi nokuthi ukwazi ukubheka nokuthi uboneke ukuthi lona ke akusona ke isibhamu sangempela kodwa yilesi abasibiza ukuthi ke uzenzele indlela ke ehambisana nokuthola kanye futhi ke nokubuyiselwa kwenqubo yalawo manamba lawo abizwa ngokuthi ke amanamba lawo ama-serial number acishiwe noma ke asesusiwe kusona isibhamu ukuthi futhi uhlanganise inhlamvu kanye futhi nenqubo ke yokwenza zona ke inhlamvu lezo nokubheka ke ibanga elise noma ukuthi inkathi ke kudutshulwa ibanga beli kangakanani ukuphenya ke kwindawo zezigameko kanye futhi ke nezindlela ezithize ke zokwenza lokho. You ended at page 3. Okay. Ukuthwetshulwa kwazo ke izithombe kanye futhi ke nama documents kulona ke uphenyo ukwahlukanisa ke ukusebenzisa yona ke inqubo abayibiza ngokuthi i-microscope nokuthi bekusetshenziswa ziphi ke izikhali nokuthi uqhathanise futhi ukusetshenziswa kwezibhamu noma ukusebenza kwezibhamu uma ngabe kudutshulwa la esekutholakala khona ukuthi kunokusha okukhona okubangelwa yiyona ke impuphu kanye futhi ke nepressure yayo igas ukundluliselwa kwama-marks ukudluliselwa yisona isibhamu noma ke amagobolondo asesetshenzisiwe kanye futhi nazo iy'nhlamvu ezisetshenzisiwe ukuthi ke lawo magesi lawo ashisayo ukuthi ashiyane noma enzani ke kanye futhi nayo impuphu kanye futhi ke nokusha okukhona noma okutholakalayo kuyona ke itarget ngaphambi nasemuva kokuthi ke inhlamvu isiphumileke la ngaphambili kuloko kubizwa ngokuthi i-muzzle yaso isibhamu kanye futhi ke nokwakhiwa ke kanye futhi nokuthi ke kusalane ngasemuva emuva kokuthi isibhamu sesidubulileke ukuhamba kwenhlamvu uma sesiphuma kusona ke isibhamu kuze kula iyogcina khona ke noma la izothi iwele ngakhona ke kanye futhi nokuthi ke uma sekudutshuliwe ke ukuthi yenzani noma inhlamvu yenzani la kwisona iskin somuntu bayibuza ngokuthi ke i-wound ballistic leyo kanye futhi nokuthi ke inhlamvu leyo yenzani ke uma isishayile la ukudutshulwa khona kanye futhi nokuthi ke yena ke noma la inhlamvu ishaya khona ukuthi yona ke kwenzekani ke emuva kokuthi inhlamvu leyo isiphumile ngaya ke kwindawo ezahlukene ke ezenza izibhamu ukuthi ngiyobona ke indlela abasebenza ngayo uma benza izibhamu kanye futhi nezinhlamvu indawo engaya kuzona ke i-Littleton Engineering Works LEW eTruvelo eNew Generation Ammunition i-NGA iSomchem iSwartcliffe kumazwe ke angaphandle ngaya eNorinco eChina ngo-August kuyofika ke kuSeptember ka-2002 ngenza ke i-course eyayenziwa ke yi-Federal Bureau of Investigation abayibiza ngokuthi ke i-FBI eyase-USA yona ke kwakwenziwa lokhu okulandelayo ukuthi ke ubheka ke ukuhamba kwenhlamvu noma ke ukwakhiwa kabusha ke kokuhamba kwenhlamvu lokuba ukuthi u-reconstructor indlela ke zokuthi ukwazi ke usibone ke isibhamu kanye futhi nempuphu ke le esalelayo noma ke i-powder le esalelayo yaso isibhamu uma sekudutshulwa ngoNovember ka-2010 kunekhosi ke engaya kuyona ke eyayenziwa uyena ke uRoss M Gardner waseBevel uGardner kanye nama-associates ababuya e-United States of America yona ke kwakubheka ke igazi ke u-level 1 kakunye futhi ke ney'ndlela noma ama-pattern okubheka igazi u-level 2 kanye futhi nokwakhiwa kabusha ke kwendawo yesigameko ulevel 1 ngathola ke i-national diploma esiphoyiseni kuyona khona eUNISA, University of South Africa. You mentioned about 2012, which is not here. What did you say?
I did the advanced
Okay.
bloodstream pattern analysis.
Khona ke engabhaliwe lana abeshilo eyango 2012 kodwa ke ayibhaliwe lana kule document. Okay, you can proceed.
What is that? Can you
It's
place that
advanced.
qualification on record?
I did that this advanced.
Yeah, just place it on record because you say it's not annotated.
It's not allocated, but it's advanced crime scene reconstruction and advanced bloodstream pattern analysis.
Right.
I-advance ke yona ke kuona ke ukubheka ke uqondisisa noma ke ukuhamba kwegazi, bloodstain and advanced bloodstain and
Crime scene.
okay kanye ke nokwenziwa noma kwakhiwa kwabusha ke kwendawo yesigameko.
And where was this course presented?
The course was presented here locally.
Kwakuyi course eyayikhona ke la ekhaya.
Now, Lieutenant Colonel, can we for a moment stand still at the cases that you've been involved in? Can you mention some of the noteworthy cases that you were involved in?
My lord, I did a lot of cases. I was involved in the reconstruction of the Oscar Pistorius case. I was involved in the case of
Yeah, just a minute.
Kunamacala amaningi ke engisengasebenza ngawo ke ngisebenzile ke la kwakhiwa kabusha ke isini noma ke indawo yesigameko kwicala lakhe uOscar Pistorius.
Did you testify in that case?
That's correct, my lord. I testified in the case.
Nganikeza ngobufakazi kulelo cala lelo.
In which forum was the case heard?
It was in the High Court in Pretoria.
Lelo cala ke laliqulwa khona la enkantolo ephakeme yasePitoli.
Do you remember if any finding was made regarding your evidence?
My lord, I can't remember the findings which you made, but he was found guilty based on my evidence.
Ukuthi ke inkantolo yathini ke mayelana nobufakazi bami kodwa ngiyangikwaziyo ke ukuthi nje walahlwa ke icala noma watholakala ke enecala ngobufakazi engabethula.
Yes.
I also did the Luke Tibet case, the toddler who was hit by a stray bullet on the head while on the mother's lap.
In Heidelberg.
The name?
No, it was in Joel.
The name, sir?
Luke Tibet.
Nalo ke icala lakhe uLuke Tibet umntana ingane ke eyashaywe inhlamvu iphethwe uma wayo.
And talking of a case where a toddler was hit by a bullet whilst on the mother's lap, was there another similar case that we involved in Delmas,
In Delmas,
involving a toddler on the mother's back?
I did that one, but I can't remember the findings. I also did reconstruction on that one also.
Khona ke nalo ngibuza ngalo ke laseDelmas kodwa ke ukuthi isinqumo saba yini noma inkantolo yanquma ngokuthini angisakhumbuli.
Is it correct that that case involved a deflection of a bullet on an overhead power line?
Yes, I remember that one.
Yes, can you
It
just
was
tell
a
us?
shot fired and then the bullet hit the pole, deflected from the pole into the house and it hit the child who was in the house, went through the window and the child was lying on the bed, was not, but it was immediately after the mother put him on the bed and was also hit by that bullet.
Engikhumbulayo ke ngalelo cala ukuthi ke kwadutshulwa lapho yaseke inhlamvu iyoshaya ke ipole noma ke epalini yase ingena ngefastela phakathi ke endlini yashaya ingane eyayileli phezu kombhede.
Do you remember in which forum this case was heard?
It was also in High Court that case.
Nalo ke lelo cala lelo lalisenkantolo ephakeme.
Do you know if reliance was placed on your evidence or your report in that case?
Well, I can't remember.
Yes, that's fine.
Ukuthi ke yanqumani ke ngobufakazi bami kulelo cala inkantolo angisakhumbuli.
Yes, other cases?
I was also involved in reconstruction of the Babita Diokoran case.
Nakulona ke icala lika Babita Diokoran nganikeza ngobufakazi.
That case was recently finalized, in fact, last week.
That's correct.
Iqala ke eqeda nje ukuthi ke kulweke enkantolo kuleli viki elidlule.
Do you know how it was finalized?
The accused in the matter pleaded guilty.
Ukuthi ke amangalela noma abamangalela kulelo qala ke bavuma ke iqala.
Yes, other cases?
I have a problem, my lord, with this line of eliciting evidence because there is no reference that has been made in the statements that we have. At least maybe if we can be given case numbers of those cases so that we can on our own go and make a cross-reference on what the witness is testifying about now. Because seemingly it becomes part of his evidence. I don't know the relevance on the part of the state.
No, he's just testifying about his experience in giving evidence in court. So if the defense wants to get hold of those cases, you can do so.
Thank you, my lord. If we can be given case numbers and the year, then we can be able to go and check those cases so that we can verify if this information is correct.
At least
or
the
not.
ones he has quoted, I know them all.
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't know them. I have to go and check them, my lord.
Fine.
Yes.
Would be of assistance
Yeah,
to the
just,
defense
yeah.
in this regard, my lord.
Fine, okay.
Other cases you can remember, perhaps?
I can't, because I did a lot of cases.
Yes.
Angikukhumbule nje onke ke ngoba bese ngishilo ukuthi maningi ke amaqala ngaba kuwona ke.
Any recent high-profile investigations?
The recent one.
Yes.
The recent one that I did, my lord, it's last month, end of last month and beginning of this month. I was
Sorry, elisha ke ngiqeda ukulenza manje ke uma kuphela nje inyanga endlule ke kuqala yona leni nyanga. Yes.
I was in DRC to assist with the reconstruction of the case where the former Minister of Transport was found with a gunshot wound in the head.
Bengise DRC ke la bengiyola ke lekelela khona ke ukuthi owaye ungqongqosheke khona lapho watholwa ke elimeleke okwabangelwa ke yona inhlamvu ekhanda.
And can you just briefly tell the court about that? What were your findings?
My findings on that case, my lord, it was mentioned that he has been assassinated, but when I did the reconstruction, I could tell that the wounds sustained are self-inflicted wounds.
Lapho ke inkulumo yayithi ke umuntu owabulawa ke lapho kodwa ke uma sengihlola ke ngathola ukuthi amanxeba ke zenza wona ke.
It's a very serious problem for us because now the witness is testifying about a case as far as the
No,
accused is
Mr. Minister,
concerned.
this witness is telling us about his experience.
Madam, I think
And I think it's relevant for this court to know whether he's an expert or not.
Yes, madam, but suffice it to say that he attended the case in DRC where he was also involved.
Yeah,
in
like for instance, he says
But now to
he
get
says
to
he
the
says he was
merits of the
trained.
case-
Wait, he says he was trained by the FBI. So must we all go to America now?
No, madam, that's not the same. I mean, for this witness to come and then testify on the
No, the
content,
evidence is
on the
allowed.
merits of the
Okay,
case
the
in
evidence
DRC.
is allowed. Let me continue, Mr. Balwe.
As a court, please, my lord, yes, you may proceed. Yes, you were telling about your findings.
I said the findings were that the wounds sustained were self-inflicted.
Ebengikusho ukuthi akusonaka amanxeba abangelwa ke umunye umuntu kodwa ke abangelwa uyena ke.
Any other cases outside the borders of the country where you were involved?
My lord, I did a number of cases in Lesotho also. I was assisting Lesotho in a number of cases.
Akhona ke amacala futhi amaningi ke engilekelele ngawo elisuthu.
I can't remember the year, but I did other cases in Ivory Coast where 45 people were shot by the French soldiers or the French army, where I went with Professor Simon. to reconstruct the incident.
Angiyikhumbuleke unyaka kodwa ke nase Ivory Coast ngaya ke la kwakunabantu abawu45 abadutshuka khona ke ngihamba naye ke uProfessor Simons.
And who is Professor Simon?
Professor Simon of the pathologist who was working in Pretoria.
Kwakuyi pathologist ke sebenza khona la ePitoli uSimons.
Yes, any other cases?
I can't remember
That's
the others.
fine.
Amanye ke amacala ngiwaphumbule.
Right. Can we then get back to your affidavit, page 3?
Sorry, now the rest of the affidavit is in connection with your investigations and reconstructions.
On this one.
Yeah, it's no longer about qualifications.
That's correct.
Mr. Jonas, then you interpret paragraph by paragraph as it testifies, okay?
Yes, paragraph 3.
Right, on paragraph 3, it said, on Monday, the 27th of October 2014, during the performance of my official duties, I attended the crime scene at house number 13511, Kutlanong Street, Spruit View in Vosloorus area. The scene was attended on request of Captain Bentley of Gauteng Provincial Task Team Crime Scene Management. The crime scene was attended and examined with the assistance of my colleagues, Lieutenant Colonel Makati and Warrant Officer Ntini, both from the ballistic section.
Kwathi ke ngomsombuluko nge-27 ka-October 2014 ngenza ke umsebenzi wami ngaya ke kwindawo yesigameko kumuzi number 13511 Kutlanong Street Spruit View eVosloorus. Lapho ke kwakukhona ke noma ngaya khona lapho ke ngokucelwa uCaptain Bentley obuya ke ku-task team yesifunda i-crime scene management. Lapho ke kwakukhona ke noma kulekelela engisebenza nabo ke uLieutenant Makati no Warrant Officer Ntini bobabili ke babuya ke kwi-ballistic section.
Do you remember what time you arrived at this address?
My Lord, I can't remember what time I arrived at the scene, but it was, because I received the call, it was just before 10 o'clock, and then I drove straight to the scene. On arrival, it was approximately 11 past 11. I can't remember the time.
Isikhathi ke ngisasikhumbula kodwa kwakungaphambi nje ko-10 ke uma ngithola ke ucingo ke luthi angiye khona lapho uma ngifika ke kwakunje ngabo 11 noma emuva ke ko-11 kodwa ke angisikhumbula isikhathi kahle.
Yes, you may proceed.
The intention and scope of this forensics examination comprises of the following: crime scene reconstruction and bullet trajectory determination.
Inhloso ke noma imbangela ke yokuya khona lapho ke kuyilokhu ke ukwakha ke noma ukubheka ukwakha kabusha ke indawo yesigameko kanye nokubheka ke nokuthola ukuhamba kwayo enhlanzi.
I've attached the photos of the crime scene that I took on the day, as depicted on photo 1, which shows the address, the house number 13511, Kutlanong Street, Spruit View.
Lana ke kuneyithombe engayithwebula ke ngalelo langa ke ukutshengisa ke umuzi lowo engaya kuwona eku number 13511 Kutlanong Street Spruit View. Isithombe sokuqala.
And photo 2 shows the same house on different angle.
Isithombe sesibili ke kwakuloya muzi ke iwona ke loya muzi kodwa ke kolunye uhlangothi ngakolunye uhlangothi.
Right, photo 3 showing the door leading into the kitchen.
Bese kuthi ke isithombe sesithathu ke siqapha ke isiqapha esingena ke ekitchen.
Photo 4 showing the kitchen.
Bese kuthi ke isithombe sesine sikhombisa ke noma sitshengisa ikhishi.
And then paragraph 5. On examination of the crime scene in the kitchen, I observed the following. There were 2 possible bullet damages were identified on the door and on the floor tile, and were marked by me A1 and A2 respectively.
Bese kuthi ke kunendawo ezimbili ke ekwakubonakala ke noma ongathi ke azilimele futhi zilinyazwe iyona ke inhlamvu engayibona ke esicabheni kanye nakuthayela phansi ngase ngiyimaka ke uA1 kanye noA2.
5.2, the possible bullet damage marked A1 on the door leading outside the house from the kitchen. The bullet did not perforate the door but only ricochet on the door.
Bese kuthi ke la kunawo ukulimala khona ke noma kubukeka ngathi ukulimala ke okwabangelwa iyona ke inhlamvu engakumaka nanjengo A1 kusona ke isicapha esiholela ngaphandle ke komuzi uma uphuma ekitchen inhlamvu ke ayizange ke iphumele ngale kusona ke isicapha kodwa ke yashaya khona ke esicapheni yase futhi ke iyandlula.
5.3, a possible bullet damage on the floor tile marked by me A2. It has traces of bullet fragments and lead around this damage.
Bese kuthi ke la kwakunokulimala khona ke phansi kuthayela ngamaka khona ke ngoA2 ila kwakubona khona ke ukuthi kunemizila khona ke yokulimala noma ke yenhlamvu ke elimele nokuthi nala iholela khona ke khona lapho kwalimala khona.
Those are shown in photos 9 and 10.
Lokho ke ukubona kuyithombe u9 kanye no10.
But on photo 5, showing the position of both bullet damages marked A1 and A2.
Kodwa ke kusona ke lesi sithombe esiu5 yila ubona khona ke la nakulela kulimala okuphawule uA1 kanye naye uA2.
Photo 6.
Just trying to locate the laser pointer. Let me, if maybe you can just, if we can go back to paragraph 5, just show that on the screen.
Paragraph 5.
Yes.
After
Those
paragraph-
points A1 and A2
It will be
on,
on photo 5.
yes, on photo 5.
Right, on photo 5, A1 is there on the door.
Yena ke uA1 lana.
And then A2, let's move it up. No, same photo 5. Up again. Sharp. A2 is there on the tile.
Yena ke uA2 loyana kuthayela.
Yes, you may proceed.
Photo 6 showing the door and the position of possible bullet damage, which is marked A1.
Bese kuthi ke sona ke lesi sithombe esiu6 wona ke isicapha kanye nala khona ke kunokulimala khona ke kwabangela yona ke inhlamvu ekuA1.
Can you also show it on the screen?
On the screen, there's the position of A1.
Yona ke uA1 lo qeda umkhomba manje noma iposition yakhe.
Yes, you may proceed.
Photo 7 is also showing position of A1. And then photo 8 is a close-up photo of A1.
Bese kuthi ke lesi sithombe esiu7 ke ila khona ke silimele khona isicapha bese kuthi ke isithombe lesi esiu8 ila lesa sithombe esisondeziwe khona.
If you can also just show on the screen every time when you refer to your photo.
There we have position of A1 on the photo, on photo 8.
Laphana kusithombe u8 la iposition ka A1 ke la qeda ikhomba manje.
Photo 9, we have a close-up photo of bullet damage or bullet defect marked A2 on the floor tile.
Bese kuthi ke lesi sithombe esiu9 ke la isithombe lesi esisondeziwe khona ke la konakele noma ke kwalimala khona phansi kuthayela.
Which is depicted on photo 9 there on the screen.
Sona ke lesi sithombe.
Yes, you may proceed.
In photo 10, there's the same defect of A2. And then on photo 10, you can even see the traces of lead around the defect.
Bese kuthi lesi isithombe ke u10 ke isona ke uyena ke u82 loyana uyabona ke nalapha yana eceleni kwalo yakulimala ke la ekubizwa khona ke lokho ukuthi lead.
Can you show the traces of lead there on the photo?
The traces of lead, that is it, that we wanted to see that is there, and this on the side.
La emaceleni ke la akhomba khona.
Yes, you may proceed.
In paragraph 6, I was informed by Captain Bentley that 2 spent bullets were recovered from in the kitchen. One was found on the floor close to the possible bullet damage, and it was found by members of the local criminal record center, Jamestown, and the other one was recovered by members of the Gauteng Provincial Crime Scene Management Task Team on top of the cabinet next to the door.
Ngatshelwa ke uyena uCaptain Bentley ukuthi ke kwakuneyinhlamvu ezimbili ezasetshenziswa ezatholakala ekitchen, eyodwa ke yatholwa phansi eduze ke nala la bengilethome bengiqeda uyikhombisa manje ke la ekwakunokulimala khona phansi itholwa yona ke amalunga eLCRC aseJamestown, kwaze kwathi enye ke yatholwa amalunga ke ayo i-task team yesifunda ke saseGauteng phezulu nje kwekhabethe eduze nesicaba.
Scott, please, my lord, may the TSA evidence be allowed? I think may this hearsay evidence be allowed?
Oh, yeah. Are you going to call Bentley?
I don't think the issues are much, in dispute.
How do you know?
Well, given the evidence that has been tendered so far, my lord, can be
the point
accepted
is, are you
as
calling
common
Bentley?
cause. Yes. Yeah. We'll come back to that aspect. my
Okay,
lord.
fine.
Yes.
So you want the evidence to be provisionally allowed?
As a court basis.
Okay. Defense?
Yes.
If it's provisionally allowed, my lord, I do not have an objection.
Same sentiment.
My lord, I have no objection, thank you.
Pending the calling of the author, my lord.
What's that?
Because it's provincial, my lord.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Fine.
you. You may proceed.
During examination, on paragraph 7, I said, during examination, I took measurements of the bullet damage as indicated on photograph 11 to 14.
Ngathi uma sengihlola ke ngathatha ke noma ngaqala ke noma ngathatha ke wona ama measurements ayo ako ukulimala lokho okwabangelwa yinhlamvu nanjengoba kutshengiswa ke kuyithombe 11 kanye no14.
At 7.1, I took the height of the bullet marked A1 on the door, which was approximately 1.2 meters from the floor.
Yase ngithatha yona ke ukuthi ke ubudeke noma ke height yayo ke imbobo leyo ke iyenhlamvu emakwe nanjengo A1 kusona isicapha ekwaku 1.2 ukusuka enzansi noma ukusuka phansi 1.2 meter ukusuka phansi.
That is depicted on photo number 11.
Kuyabonakala ke lokho kwisithombe u11.
And on photo 12,
Just show that on the photo.
on photo 11, that's the position of the bullet hole, and then that's the measurement. I use the measuring tape to use it.
Iyona ke lena ke imbobo yenhlamvu iyona ke itape lena engiyisebenzisayo ke ukuqala.
Photo 12 is a close-up photo of the same measurements as it's there, 1.2 in line with the
Nanjengoba ubona ke lapha yana ke uwena ke u1.2 leyana sondeziwe lesasithombe.
I did the same thing with the bullet defect or the bullet damage on the tire. I measured it from the wall to the position of the defect.
Ngenza lokho ke na kona ukulimala lokho kwakuphansi ke ngaqala ukusuka ebondeni ukuya lapho ke ekwakulimele khona phansi.
Right. Photo 13 shows
Yeah, just before you proceed, the distance that's reflected in paragraph 7.2, is that correct? 7.2.
7.2.
The distance from the door frame to
Oh,
the
yes. That's correct, my lord. It's 1.19.
Yebo ke impela ke uma ngathola ke leli abanga ke ku 7.2 kusuka kusona ke isicabha ke la kuma kukhona u82 phansi kwaku 1.19.
yes, but here is written 1.19.
It's 1.19, yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Just show it on the screen.
This is on the door.
Photo
It will
11.
be photo 11. No, photo
11.
13. Let's go to photo 13. But when you look at photo 13, there's the wall there next to the frame of the door, and then there's the mark there. So the distance from the wall to that mark is 1.19.
Kwaku 1.19 ukusuka lapha ebondeni kunala khona ke kulimele khona.
And then photo 14 is a close-up photo of that. There's 1.19 in line with the defect that we have on this.
Uyena ke loyena u 1.19.
Yes.
My lord, that was all that I did at the crime scene.
Iloko ke engakwenza ke kuyona ke indawo yesigameko.
On paragraph 8, the next day on Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2014, I attended the post-mortem at Jamestown Mortuary, and the post-mortem was conducted on the body of an African male with body number 2076/2014.
Kwase kuthi ke ngolesibili ke nge-28 zika October 2014 ngase ngiya ke emakhazeni ase Jamestown la engaya khona ke kwakune postmortem khona ke yona ke yenziwa ke umzimba ke womuntu wesilisa ke umuntu omnyama nale number ke u2076/2014.
The post-mortem was conducted by Dr. Steenkamp.
Eyenziwa ke uyena udokotela uSteenkamp.
It's the pathologist who testified yesterday. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am.
Uyena ke benikeza ngobufakazi izolo.
So, God, please, my Lord, we have requested that these photos not be shown on the screen.
Yeah, quite.
We make the same request.
Yeah.
Photo 14 showing the body of the deceased at the mortuary.
Lana, sorry, me proceed.
This was
sorry.
prior to the post-mortem was conducted.
Lana ke kulesi sithombe u14 ke ila kubonakala khona ke umzimba ke wakhe umufi emakhazeni bese beshilo ke ukuthi bekunesicelo ke sokuthi lezi ithombe zona ke zingavezwa khona la uthi kungaphambilini kokuthi ke i-postmortem yenziwe kulesi sithombe u14.
Sorry, just so that there's clarity. Your clients are aware of these photos, and you've discussed them with your clients.
Indeed, so.
Because when Mr. Mr. Baloyi says we have an agreement that you shouldn't show them to the public.
My Lord will remember the same request was made on the previous occasion, and we were given an opportunity for them to view the album, my Lord.
So they are aware of what
Indeed,
the
so.
witness is testifying about. Thanks. Okay.
Right. Photo number 15 showing the upper body of the deceased with a face.
La photo 15 ke umzimba ke lona ongaphezulu ke kanye nobuso bakhe ke umufi
So that the person can be identified.
ukuze ke umuntu akwazi ke aziwe noma abonwe ke ukuthi ubani.
Photo 16 showing the body number on a tag which was attached to the leg of the.
Bese kuthi ke isithombe u16 ila khona ke kunale number ke yakhona ke lapha yana ke ene tag.
Just put that on record. The body number.
The body number is 2076/2014.
2076 ka 2014.
And prior to paragraph 9, prior to the post-mortem examination, I examined the shirt and the vest worn by the deceased and found the following. Okay. Right, 9.1, the possible bullet hole on the chest position of the shirt, and I marked it S1.
Ngase ngithi ke ngaphambilini nje ukuthi ke i-postmortem yenziwe ke ngase ngihlola ke ihembe kanye ke nevest eyayigqokwe uyena ke umufi ngathola ke imboboke noma kwakungaba imboboke ebangelwe inhlamvu khona ke la esifubeni kulona ke i-shirt lelo ngase ngimaka ngo S1.
Yes. Which photo shows that?
The photo 17, showing the position of the hole on the shirt.
Isithombe ke u17 esikhombisa ke lokhu engiqeda ukufunda manje.
Right. Photo 18 is a close-up photo of the same hole on the shirt.
Bese kuthi ke u18 isithombe esisondeziwe ke sayo ke leyo mbobo leyo.
9.2, the possible bullet hole at the back side of the shirt and marked it S2.
Bese kuthi ke u9.2 okungaba ke imbobo ke ebangelwe yona ke inhlamvu ngasemuva ke kwayo ke i-shirt noma ke iskipa ngase ngimaka ke njengo S2.
There's a possible bullet hole in the chest, visible position on the chest position of the vest worn by the deceased, which is marked V1.
Bese kuthi ke kuyona ke i-vest ayeyigqokile ke nalapho kunembobo ke engabangelwa ke inhlamvu ngase ngimaka uV1.
Yes. Which photo depicts that?
Photo 21 depict that.
Kuyabonakala
Sorry, photo 20 depict that.
Kuyabonakala lokho kusithombe u20.
Then possible bullet hole at the back side of the vest of the deceased marked V2.
Bese kuthi ke nalapho ke imbobo ke engabangelwa ke inhlamvu ngasemuva ke kwayo i-vest ngase ngiyimaka uV2.
Right. What I did here, the S is for the shirt. On the shirt, S1 is the entrance, S2 is the exit, and on the vest, V1 is the entrance, and then V2 is the exit.
Lana ke kunalo S1 no S2 kube no V1 no V2. US ukhuluma ngayo ke i-shirt noma ke ihemba eligqokile, uV yi-vest, uS1 ke ila inhlamvu eyangena khona ke sona ke iskipa, bese kuthi uS2 ila inhlamvu eyaphuma ngakhona, uV1 ila inhlamvu eyangena khona kwi-vest, bese kuthi uV2 ila inhlamvu eyaphuma ngakhona ke ngasemuva kuyona i-vest.
Yes. Which photo shows V2?
The photo that shows V2 is photo 21, position of V2.
uV2 ke yena ke uyabonakala kulesithombe esiku21.
Yes, you may proceed.
On paragraph 10, I examined the wounds sustained by the deceased during post-mortem and found the following. 10.1, the gunshot wound on the chest of the deceased and marked it B1. The wound has characteristics of a bullet entrance wound.
Bese kuthi ke ku10 ngase ngihlola ke amanqaba ke atholwa uyena ke umufi ngaso isikhathi leso se-postmortem ngase ngithola ke ukuthi ke inqaba ke noma ke ukulimala okwabangelwa isona ke noma uqhuma kwesibhamu esifubeni kuyena umufi ngase ngimaka ke noma ngiphawula nanjengo B1 futhi ke inqaba ke elalikhombisa ke ukuthi ila inhlamvu eyangena khona.
And what are those characteristics of a bullet entrance wound?
My Lord, when I look at this wound sustained, I want to explain it properly so that the court can understand. But before I explain the wound, I want to explain how a firearm works when a shot is fired. If you take a firearm, let's say a handgun, a pistol, you cock a firearm, what happens is a round is loaded into the chamber of the firearm.
Okay.
When you
Give me a chance. Ngifuna nje uchaza ke indlela isibhamu esisebenza ngayo uma sekuwukuthi ke usuyasikhokha isibhamu asike i-handgun noma i-pistol kune round ke ezoyongena kuyona i-chamber.
I'll use as dummy cartridge for demonstration. Now this will be in the chamber of the firearm. When you pull the trigger, what happens? The firing pin of the firearm will strike this part of the cartridge, which is called the primer.
Uma usidonsa ke ikona ke lokho okuzohlala ku-chamber uma usidonsa ke i-trigger i-firing pin yaso ke isibhamu izoshaya khona ke lana the primer babathi mayibebiza ke ngamaphoyiseni i-primer.
Now this primer will produce flame that will ignite or burn the propellant powder which is inside the cartridge.
Lona ke izothi isiba nayo ke ukushisa ke okuba khona ke okuzo shisa ke ipowder lena engaphakathi kusona isibhamu.
Now this powder will start burning. When it starts burning, it turns into gas.
Uzoshaya ke uma isisha kuba ke igas.
And that gas exerts pressure in all directions, but your bullet will give the least resistance, and your bullet will be released from the cartridge case, and it will be pushed into the chamber of the firearm. Into the barrel of the firearm.
Ila khona ke inhlamvu yona ke isizophusheka ke iphusheka ke manje iya kuloko kubiza ngokuthi ke ibarrel yaso isibhamu.
Right. Normally the bullet, it's a little bit bigger in diameter than the barrel of the firearm. So when it's pushed into the barrel, what happens is the bullet will seal the barrel. So the gas that is produced will not pass through the bullet first, or will not escape the muzzle before the bullet. So all the gas that is created by the propellant powder will push the bullet through the barrel.
Okuzokwenzeka ke ukuthi ke inhlamvu ke yona ke ayingeke ibisaphuma ke kuyona ke ibarrel. Kanye ke futhi nayo ke yonke ke leya gas leyana ke ayingeke iphumeke ngaphambi kokuthi inhlamvu iphumeke iyona ke esizophusha ke inhlamvu leyo ukuthi iphumele ngaphandle kuyona ibarrel.
Now inside the barrel there's grooves which are twisting. In most firearms, most pistols, the twisting of the grooves are to your right hand side.
Bese kuba naloko kubizwa ngokuthi ke ngaphakathi kusona isibhamu unama groove ke a twistayo ke uma etwista ka twisela kuhlangothi langa kwesokudla.
Right, those grooves will force your bullet to start twisting inside the barrel of the firearm.
Iloko kokuzophoqa ke inhlamvu ukuthi nayo ke ibese manje ke isiya twista ke ngaphakathi kuyona ke ibarrel yesibhamu.
And what happened is the propellant powder that's inside here, as it started burning from the back, the gas that is produced now at the back will push some of the powder particles which are at the front with the bullets to the front.
Manje ke leyo gas leyo izophusha ke ipowder kanye nayo ke inhlamvu iphushela ngaphambili.
Now the sound that we hear when a gunshot is fired or when a gun is fired, that sound comes from the compressed gas that is inside the barrel of the firearm. When the bullet exits, that gas, when it exits the barrel, it creates the sound that we hear when a shot is fired.
Kunalomsindo ke esuzwayo ke uma ngaba isibhamu sesiqhuma ke iyona ke leyo gas leyo uma sekuphuma nayo ke inhlamvu leyo iyona ke leyo gas ebangela leyo msindo esuzwayo uma qhuma isibhamu.
Right, the gas is very hot when it exits there, and some of the powder particles which are at the front will not be burned. Some of it will be partially burned. So unburned and partially bent propellant powder will also exit through the muzzle of the firearm.
Manje ke le gas lena ke iyashisa ke futhi ke ukhona ke nale powder lena ke angeke isho ke ikhona ezosha ikhona ke ezosha nje kancane ke kukonke ke lokho kuzobe sekuyaphuma ke ngaphandle kusona isibhamu.
In the instances where we do distance determination, we're looking at the unbent and partially bent propellant powder. The spreading of the powder particles around the wound or around the entrance.
Futhi ke uma sizama ukuthi sitholeke ibanga ke siyabheka ke kulona ke inxeba lelo ke la ekunokusha khona ke noma ekunokusha kancane.
Those powder particles can only travel for a distance of about a meter. That's why you can do distance determination up to the distance of a meter, not more than that.
Ngoba ke lawo ma powder lawo noma leyo powder leyo ke ihamba nje ifice ibanga elingangemitha ingakho ke uma nathi sesikala ke ibanga eliyimitha.
What you see is where you have a condensed or high density of the propellant powder, it shows that the firearm was close to the body. And the more the distance increases, the bigger your pattern of tattooing or stapling.
Uma kuukuthi ke ibanga ke belikude ke la nala khona ke la kunenxeba noma kunokulimala khona kuzobona ukuthi kukakhulu ke kodwa ke uma ngaba khona ke siyakhona nokubona ke ukuthi futhi cha lana ke isibhamu lesi ke besisondele kakhulu.
Right, my lord. What I see on this, the wound sustained by the deceased here. Firstly, we look at the T-shirt and the vest. The holes on that T-shirt and vest are not normal hole from a normal bullet that penetrated the body.
Okay. Kuloko ngikubonayo ke lana kule thombe eziphambi kwami ke kwivest nakusona ke iskipa okusukuthi ke akusona ke imbobo ejwayelekile noma ke kwinhlamvu ke ejwayelekile.
The tearing of this vest and T-shirt indicates a close range, and it's a very, very close range.
Ukudabuka kwale vest kanye ke nale t-shirt kukhomba noma kuyinkomba ke yokuthi ke bekusondele kakhulu.
What I see here, my lord, is the firearm was in contact with the body of the deceased.
Engikubonayo lana ukuthi ke isibhamu lesi sasinamatheleke emzimbeni wakhe umufi.
And when you speak of contact wound, where the firearm is in contact with the body, we've got a hard contact and a loose contact.
Uma sikhuluma ngaloko ke noma ke lokho kunamathela noma ke leyo contact leyo ikune hard contact kanye futhi kanye naleyo loose contact.
Right. In case of a hard contact, what happens is when a shot is fired, all the gas and unbent and partially bent propellant powder will penetrate into the wound, will be found into, if the person has been shot, inside the wound during post-mortem, you will find the propellant powder particles, and the burning will be inside the wound, not outside the wound.
Kulokho ke uma kuukuthi ke isibhamu lesi ke besinamatheleke noma besisondele kakhulu ke lokho kusha ke noma ukusha kancane ke angeke ukutholeke la ngaphandle kodwa kutholakala ngaphakathi kulona inxeba.
In the case of a loose contact, it's where the firearm just touched the body. It's not pressed against the body, but it just touched the body.
Kodwa ke uma sikhuluma ke nge-loose contact ila khona ke nje ukuthi si touchile nje la emzimbeni isibhamu lesi kodwa hayi ukuthi si pressiwe kuwona umzimba.
Now in this case, it's a loose contact shot where the firearm only touched the body.
Kodwa ke lana ila nje kuphela ke ungathi nje isibhamu nje sathatha emzimbeni.
What causes the wound to appear like this is because the firearm has touched the body. When a shot is fired, the nose of the bullet, when exiting the barrel, it starts pushing the skin. So because the skin is elastic, it creates a very small gap between the muzzle and the skin. When the bullet penetrates, some of the gases will penetrate with the bullet, then unbent and partially bent propellant powder will also penetrate into the wound. And the gas that comes after that will bend the wound, the skin around the wound, and will tear the clothing that the person was wearing.
Ngoba ke lana ke igebe nje belincane kakhulu ke phakathi kwayo inhlamvu kanye futhi ke nawo umzimba noma ke lokho awayegqokile ke yiloko ke kubangela ke ukuthi kube nokudabuka ke kwimpahla yakhe futhi ke igas elandela kamuva ke iyona ke lena ezobangela ke ukuthi kube nokusha ke okungaphakathi.
Right. If we look at photo number 23, which is the entrance wound on the chest.
Masibheka ke lana ku23 ila khona inhlamvu eyangena khona esifubeni.
There's tearing of the skin around 7 o'clock and also around 3 o'clock. So where the skin has been tearing, that is caused by gas.
Kunokudabuka okukhona ke kwiskin kuma angles noma kuyinhlangothi ke 80 ezahlukeneke u3 o'clock to 7 o'clock ayibizileke.
So the burning that you see underneath and at the top, where the skin tends to be a little bit reddish, that's where the skin was burned by this gas.
La ubona khona ke kungathi kunokusha ke ila khona ke iskin sakhe ke sashiswa khona igas leyo.
These are the indications of a loose contact shot.
Ila iloku ke okuyinkomba ke yokuthi bekuyi loose isibhamu lesi uma siqhuma ke bekuyi loose contact.
When you continue with photo 24, showing the position of the exit wound.
Masibheka isithombe ke u24 ila khonjiswa khona ke la inhlamvu eyaphuma khona.
Photo 25 is a close-up photo of that exit wound.
Bese kuthi ke u25 isithombe esisondeziwe ke sakhe u24.
But on this wound, this exit wound, if we look at the photo 25, it's an irregular, we call it an irregular shape wound, where the bullet coming from the body pushes the skin. The skin will expand up to a certain point where it cannot expand anymore, and then it bursts, creating this type of wound. Normally, the exit wound will never look the same, or in most cases, not look the same.
La inhlamvu ephume khona ke angeke kufaneke noma angeke yebo angeke kufaneke ngoba lana ila inhlamvu khona ke manje uma isiphuma ke emzimbeni isipressa ke iskin lesi bese kuthi ke naso ke siyavula noma siyadabuka ke sibone ke le shape lena ke esithi ke akusiyona ke ishape ejwayelekile noma ke esivamise ukuthi siyibone.
On paragraph 11, I also took measures of the wounds from the heel of the and from the heel and found that wound mark B1 on the chest was approximately 1.34 meters from the heel, and 11.2 wound mark B2 at the back was approximately 1.26 from the heel.
Ngase ngikala ke noma ngithatha ke ama measurements kuwona ke amanxeba ukusuka ke ama measurements awo amanxeba ukusuka esithendeni ngathola ke ukuthi ke inxeba ke elimakona njengo B1 elisesifubeni kwaku 1.34 meters ukusuka ke esithendeni bese kuthi ke inxeba elimakwe uB2 ngasemuva kwaku 1.26 meters ukusuka ke esithendeni.
Just for record purposes, what is wound mark B1?
Wound mark B1 is the entrance wound on the chest.
uB1 ileli ke elisesifubeni la inhlamvu yangena khona.
And B2?
And then B2 is the exit wound at the back.
Bese kuthi ke uB2 ila inhlamvu ke eyaphuma khona emhlane.
Right, photos 26 shows the measuring tape on the measuring that, and the photo 27 is a close-up photo of it.
Bese kuthi ke isithombe u26 sitshengisa ke itape leyo ke akalwa ngayo bese kuthi ke u27 isithombe esisondeziwe.
Right, photo 28 showing the measurement of wound B2 at the back.
Bese kuthi ke u28 la kalwa khona ke inxeba ke leli eli uB2 emhlane.
Right, if you look at the position of the wounds, as I said, B1 is 1.34 and then B2 is 1.26. It's a downward trajectory. It's not a straight line, it's a downward trajectory.
Uma usubheka ke noma ubuka ke ngishilo ke ukuthi inxeba leli ke la inhlamvu yangena khona uB1 u1.34 bese kuthi uB2 u1.26 meters okusho ukuthi yayingahambi straight ke inhlamvu yangena ke yabe isiyehla.
Right, my lord, I've checked the crime scene, I've examined the crime scene, now I've examined the body. What I have to do now is to put the body back into the crime scene to determine the position of the body when these wounds were inflicted and in what position was the deceased.
Manje ke sengiyileke kwindawo yesigameko ngenza ke umsebenzi noma ngahlola ke lapho ngiyileke manje emakhazeni ngawubheka ke manje umzimba manje sekufanele ngithathe ke manje lo mzimba ke ngiyubuyisele khona ke kwindawo yesigameko ngibheke ukuthi inkathi elimala wayemi kanjani noma ekuyiphi iposition.
In paragraph 13 I said, after examination of the crime scene, the clothing of the deceased and the wound sustained, I could determine that at least 2 shots were fired at the house or at the crime scene.
Emuva kokuthi ngahlola ke kwindawo yesigameko impahla wayegqokile umufi kanye futhi ke nokulimala noma amanxeba ke atholakala kuyena ke ngathola ke ukuthi kuna isibhamu saqhuba kabili endlini.
I did 13.1.1 I said 1 shot was fired directly to the floor in an angle of approximately 90 degrees.
Ukuthi ke ishot eyodwa yadutshulwa ke noma yona ke yadutshulwa phansi kwi angle noma ke angle ongathi ke u90 degrees.
My lord, I looked at the shape of the bullet mark or bullet damage on the tire. It's almost a circular shape. Now what does that tells me is if you take a firearm, you fire it at the 90 degrees, your bullet will hit the floor and will hit it on the center part. So meaning your bullet will hit the floor in this thing. And it transfers all the energy that it has to the center part on the floor. So in this instance, what will happen is, that's what you call the effect of the bullet on the target and vice versa, which is called terminal ballistics. Now in this instance is, your bullet, if your bullet is stronger than the tire, your tire will be more damaged than the bullet. In the instance where your bullet is softer than the tire, the more damage will be on your bullet.
Okwenzekayo ke lana kuyona ke lo 90 degrees uma ngaba usuyidubula ke noma inhlamvu ihlake izohla ishaye khona ke lapho ila khona ke umonakalo uzoba khona uma kuukuthi ke ibullet yakho iyona ke strong kunothayela lowo uthayela ozolimala ke kodwa ke uma kuukuthi iyona ke soft iyona inhlamvu ezokuthi itholeke ukulimala.
Right, my lord, from the exhibits, from the crime scene, what I've noticed, and the lead around bullet hole on the tire, it indicates the type of bullet that was used.
Uma ubheka khona ke loka kulimala okulapha phansi kona ke kuyakutshela ukuthi yipi inhlamvu eyasetshenziswa.
Right, we have different types of bullets. We have what we call the full metal jacket. This one is called the full metal jacket bullet.
Iyona kakhuluma ngayo lena ayiphethe ke manje.
And when you look at this one, this is what we call the complete metal jacket.
Iyona ke complete lena ayiphethe kusandla saku left.
Right, the complete metal jacket, it's more lead, soft lead, covered by a thin layer of copper.
Yona ke ungathi ke ithambileke kodwa futhi ke inayo ke necopper eimbozile.
And the full metal jacket, it's more strong than so this is basically mostly ammunition that is manufactured by PMP on military ammunition. The police are using the full metal jacket, the defense are using the full metal jacket from PMP.
Amasotsha akasebenzisa i-full metal yona ke eyenziwe u-PMP and that the police are using the
same bullet.
Nabo ke kanye namaphoyisa nawo futhi asebenzisa yona.
Now with this CMJ, the complete metal jacket, it's mostly used for training, so it's mostly reload ammunition.
Bese kuthi lena ke ekuyi complete yona ke CMJ yona ke isetshenziselwa ke uma ke setshenziselwa uqeqesha.
Right, if you look at the bullet hole on the tire, when I say it's at a 90 degree, the tile is harder than this soft bullet. So on impact, the tile was, the bullet fragmented.
Uma ubheka ke lokakulimala okwakuphansi ke kona uthayela ke thola ukuthi ke uthayela ke noma lapha phansi kwakustrong ke kunayo ke inhlamvu ingakho ke uma itholakala inhlamvu yatholakala ke inokulimala nako.
And when you look at that, the lead that we see around it is the lead that's coming from this bullet. And some of the fragments were spread around the area. And I said, if somebody was close to that area, it's more likely that they could have been hit by the fragments from this bullet.
Futhi ke uma ubheka ke kuyona ke leya ndawo leyana ke ukuthi lokho ke okulimala noma ke kuneyindawo ezithize amaphathi athize ke asala khona lapho uma kuukuthi kwakunomuntu oseduze lapha yana ke loyo muntu loyo ke wayengathi ke akutholeke ukulimala kwako lokho.
Right, the bullet fragment that I have received from the crime scene is this one. It's consistent with the CMJ bullet that was was deformed on impact on the tire.
I guess show it to the defense.
Uthi ke yona awayithola lapha yana lena ke futhi ke iyahambisana ke naloka kulimala okwatholakala lapha yana.
You have seen it, Mr. Baloyi?
Yes, we'll get to the chain as
no, fine. But I'm just saying, as for the cake. Hayi nami ngifuna ukuyibona phela. Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Now, Colonel, you mentioned that if someone was close to the point of impact on the towel, they would have been hit by the bullet fragment. What about the lead? Would that have any effect?
The lead.
Yes.
The lead that comes is from this.
Just the point of clarification, this is not an objection per se. I just want to.
No, Mr. Minister, keep. You'll clarify.
I just want to find my if
How do we give evidence in court? Wait, how do we give evidence in court?
My what?
How do we give evidence in court?
No, as I'm saying, my lord, I'm taking.
You're cross-examining him. Wait. When you say clarification, you're cross-examining him.
No, my lord.
What are you doing?
No.
What are you
Because
doing?
I just want to make assurances that be sure that I'm taking the right news. I just want to find out if that is the actual bullet that was fired at the scene.
You just said that part of it fragmented because of the force when it hit at a 90-degree angle, with the concomitants that the tile was stronger in build than the bullet because the bullet was softer. It disintegrated and fragmented. That's what this witness is saying. Am I quoting you correctly?
You're correct, my lord.
I mean, yeah, okay.
The lead, would that have any effect?
The lead will be part of the bullet as
Yes.
it's fragmented. It will also be scattered. That's why I said, whoever was within that area, it's more likely that they could have been hit by these fragments from the, and then the fragments also include the lead.
Ingakho bengishilo-ke uma lokho okubizwa ukuthi iyona-ke i-lead iyingxenye-ke yayo inhlamvu, ingakho ngishilo-ke ukuthi kuloyo-ke obeseduze noma uma kuwukuthi kwakunomuntu oseduze wayezoshayeka-ke naye noma athinteke-ke yiloko kushaya phansi kwayo inhlamvu.
And what is the effect of lead on the skin?
My lord, there's possibility that it could have penetrated the skin, it could have caused, but it will be very small wounds around that area of the legs.
Kwakungenzeka-ke ukuthi lo muntu noma-ke kwakungangena-ke esikhumbeni kodwa-ke kancane nje kwangeke ukuthi kube kulimala okukhulu kodwa kancane.
Yes, we proceed.
Right, on paragraph 13.1.2.
Yes, lead
Yes,
by
just before you proceed, 13.1.1, can you just...
13.1.1.
Yes, can you just refer to the relevant photos?
On the relevant photos,
Yes.
it will be photo 14, or photo 9 and 10. That's more clearer.
U9 no10-ke izona-ke ithombe egqamileke mayelana nalokho ebengiceda ukufunda manje-ke.
Yes, you may proceed.
The lead traces originating from the bullet were visible around the impact mark. Right. 13.1.2. The other shot was fired in the direction of the door at a slightly downward angle. Bullet damage marked A1 on the door had characteristics of an unstable bullet.
Can you just explain what is an unstable bullet?
Right. My lord, as I said, the grooves in the barrel of the firearm will force the bullet to spin. When the bullet exits the firearm or the muzzle of the firearm, it will come out in a spinning movement, so it will be rotating. Now, when you say the bullet is unstable, it's either it will hit an intermediate target where the target will affect the movement of a bullet. When it exits, like in this instance, I would say, we look at the position of the deceased, the wound sustained on the chest, and the wound sustained at the back. I'm of the opinion that, I'd say this is the bullet that perforated the body of the deceased. What happened is, he's in a standing position. The entrance is on the chest at 1.34, and then the exit is at 1.2. Now, if you look at the bullet hole on the door, it's 1.2. Now, if you take the deceased, place him on the crime scene, facing inside with a door behind him. If we close the door, the bullet was supposed to hit the door in a straight angle, and the possibility of it perforating to that side would be there.
Okay.
Now,
lana ke esikwenzayo bese ngishilo ke ngaphambilini ukuthi kunalama grooves abangela ke ukuthi inhlamvu uma isiphuma kusona ke isibhamu iphuma ke noma ke ephuma ayihambi straight ke futhi ke uma isibhamu noma inhlamvu ise ishaya lana ke ishaye yena ke ishaya yena ibisi yaphuma ke iyoshaya futhi ke esicabheni ngishilo ke ukuthi kwaku 1.34 la ngaphambili uma seyihlaka inhlamvu kwaba 1.26 la ngasemuva base kukwase ukuthi esicabheni ke kwabo ngosa measure u1.2 uma ukubheka ke lokho nangendlela owayimi ngayo simthathe simbeke lapha yana ke kwakungenzeka ke noma kwakufanele ukuthi ke inhlamvu leyo yashaya ke yabe isiyaphuma ngale. Yes.
The irregular shape on the door was caused by a bullet that was not spinning but probably tumbling, moving on its side. It's either side to side or up and down.
Kodwa ke le ndlela ke isicapha esasilimele ngayo ke lokho kwabangelwa ukuthi kwakungasiyona ke inhlamvu eyayispina kodwa ke inhlamvu eyayijika njena ke ishintsha ama side uma ngabe ihamba.
Can you use photo 8 to demonstrate?
Right, the
What you say?
impact point of this bullet, my lord, will be this part of it.
Ila eyashaya khona ke inhlamvu.
So that's the impact point of this bullet. Now, when you look at the bullet, the height of that bullet, you look at the height of the exit wound and the entrance wound. If we take the deceased, put him against the door, where he touched the door, the exit wound will be 1.26. The entrance on the door will be 1.2. So there's a difference of 6 centimeters. Now, to cover that, what we do is you move the deceased further away from the door. If you move it further, you allow the bullet to drop 6 centimeters down.
Okay. Okwenzekayo ke uma ubheka lana ke lamabanga ke noma ke lokhu kumeasure lokhu la inhlamvu eyaphuma khona ke kwaku 1.26 meter bese kuthi uma umeasure lapha yana kulona kusona ke isicapha u1.2 esikwenzayo ke ukuthi sesizomhlehlisa ke simsuse lapha yana esicabheni ngoba manje usufuna uthola ke lo ya 6 cm kunale ya difference ka 6 cm.
Right. When you look at this part, this shows the bullet did not penetrate at an angle of approximately 19, but at an angle which indicates that when the shot was fired, the door was almost half open. It was not closed, it was half open.
Uma ubheka ke lapha yana ke isho ukuthi ke le nhlamvu ayizange ishaye ke la kule angle ka 90 degrees nokusho futhi ukuthi ke uma ngaba inhlamvu ishaya khona lapha yana isicapha lesi ke sasi ngavaliwe ngathi nje sasi vuliwe kancane kodwa ke singavaliwe.
Right. If it hits the door at 90 degrees, it will go through the door. But when you look at it, it hit the door on the side and then created that splinters, got underneath those other part of the wall, pushed them out so that they were separated from the door, and it deflected into the house again.
Uma ubheka ke indlela ke isicapha lesiyana ke esinakele ngayo ke ukuthi ke ayizange ishaye ke noma ingene ngaye ke u90 degrees kodwa ke ukuthi ke yangena ke ngeside yase ke bangela ke lokulimala okubonakalayo ke yase ke le indawo lezi oyibona zingekho lapha yasiyasusa ke yase ke inhlamvu futhi ishaya ibuyela khona phakathi endlini.
So what happened, it bounced there after it exited the ricocheting on the door. It bounced on the wall and it was found there next to the door on the counter, on the ground.
Emuva kokuthi yashaya ke khona laphayana esicabheni ke yase ke iba lapho ke noma iwela khona lapho ngoba yilapho ke eduze nesicabha inhlamvu eyatholakala khona.
Right.
I just want to show you photo 1, 2, 3, I think, of Exhibit D. Photo 1, 2, 3 of Exhibit D.
Exhibit D.
And then 124. Or maybe 125, sorry, maybe 125 is a better photo.
125.
Yes, 125 of Exhibit D. Can you use that just to demonstrate the point that we've just made now?
My lord, if the door is closed, this bullet will not deflect. But if the door is half open, it deflected there, pushed the wooden, create those splinters, bounced somewhere there, and it fell around it. It makes sense to me.
Mina ke into ke leyo ke ezwakalayo ukuthi uma kuwukuthi lesa sicapha sasingavaliwe ke ukuthi azoshaya khona laphayana siwe khona lapha kuleya ndawo ke ayikhombayo kodwa ke uma kuwukuthi sasivaliwe ke yangeke ishaye ngaleyo ndlela.
When you look at that bullet recovered there, it's the same type of bullet as the one that hit the door, the floor. It's a CMJ, complete metal jacket. But when you look at this one, it's still intact.
Uma ubheka ke leya nhlamvu ke eyatholakala khona laphayana inhlamvu eyodwa ke naleyana ke eyashaya phansi ke kodwa uma ubheka lena ke yona ke kuyi CMJ kodwa uma ubheka lena yona ke isaphelele yona.
The question can be, why is this one intact but that one damaged?
Kodwa ke umbuzo ungaba ukuthi ke kungani ke ukuthi leyana ke bengiqeda ukuyikhombisa lana ke ukuthi limele yona kodwa lena yona ke isaphelele.
As I explained, this bullet went through the human tissue, the soft tissues, of which reduced the speed and the energy that the bullet has.
Ukuchaza ke ukuthi lena yona ke inhlamvu yashaya umuntu lokho ke okwaseke manje kuhlisa ke isivinini ke noma ke indlela ke ehamba ngayo.
The wooden door, it's softer than the bullet, so more damage is on the door than on the bullet.
Nokuthi futhi ke isicapha lesiyana sona ke si soft kunayo ke inhlamvu ingako ke ukulimala okukhulu kusona isicapha kunenhlamvu.
So when it hit the door, it has already lost the stability and it has lost a lot of energy. So the transferred energy to the door will not be that effect, or the damage to the door, the impact to the door will not be that severe to damage the bullet.
Ngoba ke uma manje isishaya sona ke isicapha ke ayisahambi ke ngendlela ebihamba ngayo ke ayisekho stable ke uma kusebenziswa item yakhe bayisebenzisayo ke emaphoyiseni ingako ke manje umuntu ukulimala okuzaba kwisicapha angeke kuzoba ke ikona kokukhulu ngaphezulu kwakwinhlamvu.
So the bullet was recovered still in a good condition where it can be used for comparison.
Manje ke nkathi itholakala inhlamvu yatholakala ke isekusimo ke ekuseyisona ukuthi ke futhi ingakwazi ukuthi iqhathaniswe.
We just want to show photo 127.
127.
Yes, of Exhibit D. Yes, you can use that photo to illustrate your evidence.
That's the same bullet that we have that was recovered in the crime scene.
Iyona le nhlamvu esinayo iyona le eyatholakala laphayana.
127.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yes, you may proceed.
Sorry. From my understanding, there was no third bullet discharged, according to your investigation.
But on examination of the crime scene, I only found 2 shots fired. In the house,
you're a scientist. I'm just adumbrating this because they had one bullet sounding, They had 2 bullets. They had 3.
No, in the house, there's only 2 shots fired.
Okay.
Mina ke kona uphenyo engalenza ke ukuthi ke isibhamu saqhuma kabili phakathi endlini.
So we had paragraph 13.1.2 of your report, page 21. You had just mentioned that the bullet damage marked A1 on the door had characteristics of an unstable bullet. We're just explaining what an unstable bullet is. You can proceed.
Yeah, the unstableness of the bullet could have been caused as a result of an intermediate target between the firearm and the door, which most probably was the deceased.
Ukuthi ke inhlamvu ke ingabi kusona ke isimo noma ke ungathi uma ihamba ke kwakungabangelwa ke ukuthi kukhona la eyaqala yashaya khona ke okwakuphakathi kwesibhamu kanye naso ke isiqapha lana ke ekwakungaba uyena umufi.
In 13.2, the deceased sustained only 1 bullet entry wound, which is marked B1, and this wound had the characteristics of a contact shock. There was soot or blackening around the wound caused by the gas originating from the muzzle of the firearm and was found inside the wound also. There was also the bullet exit wound marked B2 at the back with bullet track connecting entrance wound 1 or wound marked B1.
Umufi ke wathola ke ukulimala noma ke ngenhlamvu eyodwa noma waba nenxeba elilodwa elimakwe uB1 lona ke elalikhombisa ke noma elalineyinkomba ke lokuthi ke kwakusondele noma ke isibhamu lesasimshaya sasisondele kwakunalokhu kubamnyama noma kunendawo ke ebamnyama okwabangelwa ke iyona igas ephuma ke la ngaphambili kusona isibhamu esatholakala lobo umnyama lobo obatholakala ke ngaphakathi kwenxeba futhi kwakunenxeba ke elilodwa la inhlamvu eyaphuma khona limakwe uB2 futhi ke eliconnector noma elihlanganisa ke nenxeba leli inhlamvu eyangena kulona eli uB1.
Are there any photos, Colonel, that you want to refer to in this regard? Well, you state in paragraph 13.2.
Right, on that would be explained by
Yes.
photograph 22-23.
Ithombe ke u22 no23 izona ke ezichaza lokhu eniqeda ukufunda manje noma ke ezikhombisa lokhu eniqeda ukufunda manje,
indicating the burning of the surrounding of the wound.
la ekwasha khona ke la kwinxeba.
Yes, you may proceed.
Paragraph 13.3 is what I've just explained on the height of the bullet on the entrance and the exit and the bullet damage on the door.
Lana ke ku 13.3 yilokhu ke bengiqeda ukusho ke manje mayela ke no 1.34 lona ke okwinxeba la elangena khona inhlamvu u1.26 la ngemuva kanye ke no 1.2 kwesicaba.
Right, paragraph 14, taking the aforementioned evidence into context, the best possible and probable explanation of is as follows. The most probable position of the deceased during the infliction of the wounds was initially standing upright in the kitchen area behind the half-closed door, with his back towards the door, but not in contact with it. Bullet perforated the body of him and hit the door behind him. The bullet trajectory, as mentioned in 12.2.1, is slightly downwards.
14.1 uthi ke uma ubheka ke noma ke uma kubheka ke uthola ukuthi yipi ke indlela awayemi ngayo umufi inkathi eshawe yona ke lenhlamvu ukuthi ke wayemike straight khona ke ekitchen emuva kwesicabha ke esasingavaliwe ngokuphelele umhlane wakhe ke eze ngomhlane kusona isicabha kodwa ke engancikile kusona yase ke inhlamvu iyangena engena emzimbeni wakhe yashaya isicabha ngasemuva kwakhe futhi ke nokuhamba ke kwayo inhlamvu kuchaziwe ke ku 13.1.2 ukuthi ke yahamba yase ihla.
At 14.2, the shooter was most probably in front of the deceased and the firearm was in contact with the deceased's chest. The possibility of altercation or struggle between the deceased and the shooter cannot be ruled out.
Owadubula ke kwakuwukuthi ke kwakuwumuntu owayemi phambi kwakhe umufi nesibhamu futhi ke sasesifubeni sakhe umufi nokuthi ke kwakulwisana ke nalokho ke angeke kuthiwa cha akuzange kwenzeke phakathi kwakhe umufi kanye nalo owadubula.
Paragraph 15. The above mentioned conclusions were arrived at by means of an examination and processes which required knowledge and skill in certain branches of physics and ballistics.
Loku ke noma ke loku engekuthola noma ke ekutholakele ke lana ufinyelela kukona kuphela ke ngokuthi ke uhlole futhi ke ube nolwazi ke noma ikhono onalo ke kuyona iphysics kanye futhi nama ballistics.
Paragraph 16. I know and understand the contents of this declaration. I have no objection in taking the prescribed oath. I consider the prescribed oath to be binding on my concerns.
Ngiyakwazi futhi ngiyakuzwa noma ngiyakuzwisisa ke lokhu okubhaliwe khona lapha anginankinga ukuthi ngakufungela nokuthi ke kuyangibophezela ke kuyena unembeza wami.
And do you confirm the correctness of your affidavit and stand by the contents?
That's correct, Lord, I do.
Uma ukuthi kuyiqiniso ke ekubhaliwe ke kule ncwadi engiyifungele.
My Lord, we'll just request that the bullet fragment be handed in as Exhibit 3 and the bullet head or the projectile be handed in as Exhibit 4.
Exhibit 3 and 4.
4, yes. We'll revert to these two exhibits in greater detail at a later stage. Colonel, if I can ask you to go to paragraph 13.1 of your affidavit, where you mentioned that at least 2 shots were fired in the house. Are you able to perhaps give an indication of the time lapse between the 2 bullets?
My Lord, it's not possible to determine the time lapse of it, but what I could say is these 2 shots is not a double tap where you find, so there's a break in between the first shot and the second shot, but I don't know, or I cannot determine how long was the break between the 2 shots.
Angeke ngithi ke nanjengoba ngithi ke isibhamu saqhuma kabili phakathi endlini ke ukuthi ke kwaba yihlandla elilodwa ngathi ke kwakune break eyikhona ke phakathi koqhuma kwesibhamu kokuqala nokwesibili kodwa angeke ngisho ke ngesiqiniseko ukuthi ke kwakuyi break yesikhathi esingakanani.
Thank you. Can we then proceed to Exhibit X in brackets 13B? Your next affidavit. You don't have to read your experience, your qualifications, and the training. You can go straight to the contents as per paragraph 13.
Paragraph 3.
Sorry, is it D you're saying, D or B?
B, my lord.
Don't you have a spare copy there because we've got the same problem?
It's a 5-page document.
5-page document.
Yes.
It's in this small.
Yeah, in the X bundle, my lord.
The
Can
X
I
bundle,
just
the bigger
yes.
one. In other
No,
words.
no, no, the smaller one.
Okay.
Yes, or if the court can just give me this exhibit that I've just handed up, I'll just.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, may I proceed to read the contents of paragraph 3 in the record.
Right, on paragraph 3, on the 13th of November 2014, during the performance of my official duties, I received 2 sealed evidence bags with numbers PA 4000 3840 341 and PA 5000 342715J from case administration of the ballistic section containing the following exhibits.
Kwathi ngeyi-13 zikaNovember 2014 ngisenza-ke umsebenzi wami ngathola-ke ama-bags noma-ke amasaka amabili-ke obufakazi ayevaliwe nalama number PA 4000 3840 no PA 5000 342715J. Ngithola-ke kuyona-ke i-case administration yawo ama-ballistic section eyayinaloko okulandelayo.
Right. Evidence back with number, I think, point of correction, it ends up with an I.
Aye.
The evidence back with number PA 4000 3840 34I contains the following: 9mm parabellum caliber P Beretta model 92FS compact. It's a single and double action semi-automatic pistol with serial number BER 190037 and 2 magazines, a black holster and firearm license.
Ngathola-ke noma-ke ngaphakathi-ke kwalokho kwakunalokho okulandelayo lesi sikhwama-ke sobufakazi la besithe khona-ke u-1 akusiyena u-1 u-I u-PA 4000 384034I inalokho ngaphakathi esisodwa isibhamu-ke esi-9mm iparabellum uhlobo-ke noma-ke ikhaliba i-P Beretta imodel yakhona ewu-92FS compact single kanye futhi-ke ne-double action i-semi-automatic pistol ene-serial number BER 190037 kanye nama-magazine amabili i-holster noma-ke lokho kokufaka sona-ke isibhamu emnyama kanye futhi-ke nelicense yesibhamu.
Colonel will later get to the chain of custody, but in short, whose firearm is this that you are looking at?
My Lord, I do not know whose firearm is it.
Ukuthi-ke isibhamu lesi engiqeda-ke ukusisho manje esikabani angazi.
Yes. Yes, you may proceed.
In paragraph 3.2, I've received from the same bag 6 9mm parabellum caliber cartridges or rounds.
Ngase ngithola-ke kusona-ke leso sikhwama leso-ke ama-rounds-ke awu-6 ayo i-9mm parabellum i-caliber noma-ke ama-cartridge namagobolondo.
And in the second evidence bag with number PA 5000 342715 Juliet containing a seal bag with number PA 5014 99210 containing this small bag was inside the big one, and inside that one was 3.1, which is 1 spent bullet fragment of undetermined caliber and marked it 217267/14A1.
Lana-ke ngase ngithola-ke futhi-ke kuyona-ke le evidence bag ewu-PA 5000 342715J yona-ke ngaphakathi yayinalokhu kwakuyibhegi-ke lena encane ngaphakathi kwalena-ke isikhwama-ke sobufakazi-ke ewu-PA 5014 99210 ene nhlamvu-ke esisetshenzisiwe eyodwa futhi-ke elimele eyayimakwe u-217267 A14A1.
Right, the second seal bag which was inside that bag was seal bag with number PA 5002 087782 containing 1 spent 9mm caliber bullet and I marked it 217-267/14A2.
Bese kuthi phakathi ke kwaleyo ke kwaleso ke isikhwama sobufakazi kunesikhwama ke esinye esasine number ewu-PA 500208778 ngaphakathi ke sona ke sasine nkamvu eyodwa ke eseyisetshenzisiwe iyayo i9 mm ecaliber ngase ngimaka ke u217-267/14A2.
Colonel, the bullet fragment mentioned is paragraph 3.3.1. And the bullet mentioned in 3.4.1, where do they originate from?
I received them in this field bag, I think from the crime scene. Because I only received them in this bag from.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ke ngazithola ke noma ufuna ukwazi ukuthi le nhlamvu ke ekhulunywa ngayo ku 3.3.1 lena kwakuthiwa yayisetshenzisiwe ke nalena futhi 9 mm ku 3.4.1 ngayithola ke iphakathi ke kwisikhwama sobufakazi.
Yes. Yes, you may proceed. You may proceed to
Just
paragraph 4.
Yes, my lord. This seal bag with number PA 5000342-715 Juliet. It was brought to the lab by Constable Musia.
Le bheki ke noma ke le bheki ke yobufakazi ewu-PA 5000342-715J yalethwa ke elebhe uConstable Musia.
Yes, you may proceed.
Paragraph 4. The intention and scope of the forensic examination comprises of the following: firearm mechanism examination and microscopic individualization of fired bullets.
Lana ke inhloso yomsebenzi ke kwakubheka ke indlela ke noma ke ukubheka indlela yokusebenza kwaso ke isibhamu kanye futhi ke nokuthola ke inhlamvu eseyisetshenzisiwe noma eyidubulile.
Paragraph 5. I examined and tested the pistol mentioned in 3.1 and found the pistol mentioned in 3.1 functions normally without any obvious defects. Ammunition used for test purposes marked 037 TC1 and 037 TC2, which were marked on the cartridge cases, and 037 TB1 and 037 TB, supposed to be TB2, not T, it's a typing error.
TB2.
TB2.
Not 6.
Not 6.
Okay.
It's a typing error there, my lord.
Typing error. Okay.
On the bullet and were fired in the pistol mentioned in 3.1.
Ngase ngihlola ke noma ke ngivivinya sona ke isibhamu noma ipistol leyo echaziwe noma eshiwo ke ku 3.1 ngathola ke ukuthi yona ke ipistol leyo eshiwo ke ku 3.1 isebenza nje kahle ayinankinga enazo nokuthi ke inhlamvu ezisetshenzisiwe ukuthi ke noma ke ukutesta sona ke isibhamu leso zasezimako nanjengo 0370 C1 u0370 C6 kuwona ke amagobolondo lawo ke kanye no 037 TB1 no 037 TB kubhalwe 6 kodwa uthi iphutha ke suppose ukuthi noma kufanele ukuthi 037 TB2 so wadutshulwa ke kuyona ke ipistol leyo eshiwo ku 3.1.
What we did here, my lord, is we take the firearm that we have received, we get 2 rounds of ammunition, and I'll mark the cartridge case, this part of the cartridge case, with the last 3 digits of the serial number of that. And then TC1, it will be test cartridge 1, and then the second one will be test cartridge 2. And then I'll mark the bullets here with the last 3 digits again is 037 TB1, which is test bullet 1, and the second one will be test bullet 2.
Lana ke kwisibhamu leso ke esatholakala ke ukuthi manje sesizosihlola ke la ngasemuva ke ngizobhala ke uTC1 utest cartridge 1 no TC2 bese ukuthi ngaphambili ke kuyona ke inhlamvu uTB1 utest bullet 1 kanye no TB2.
And then I'll take the 2 rounds of ammunition and the firearm to the shooting tank. I'll shoot the test with it and then obtain the bullets and the cartridge case for comparison purposes.
Ngizohamba ke ngiye kwi lamna kushuthwa khona ke noma kutestwa khona ke ngiyodubula ke futhi ke ngizothatha ke leyo nhlamvu nalo cartridge ukuthi ngizoqhathanisa.
After shooting the test or on examination of the firearm itself, I examined and tested the mechanism of the pistol mentioned and found it to be self-loading but not capable of discharging more than one shot with a single depression of the trigger. I also found that the devices were manufactured or designed to discharge center fire ammunition.
Lana ke uma sengihlola ke noma sengithesta ke ukusebenza kwaso ke isibhamu lesi esichaziwe noma esishiwo ke ku 3.1 ngathola ke ukuthi ke siyayiloada sona ke ngokwaso nokuthi futhi ke asikho kwisimo ke sokuthi ke singakhipha ke ishoti engaphezulu kweyodwa ngesikhathi noma ke ngokuthi nje upress kayi1 noma upress itrigger kayi1 ngase ngithola futhi nokuthi ke isibhamu leso ke uma senziwa ke noma ngohlobo esenziwa ngaso ke basibiza ngokuthi i-center fire ammunition.
Right. I compared the individual and class characteristic marking transferred to the bullet mentioned in 3. Or the test bullet or transferred to the bullets mentioned in 3.4.1 and 5.2, which is the test by firearm components during the firing process using a microscopic comparison microscope, and found the following. The bullet mentioned in 3.4.1 was not fired in the pistol mentioned in 3.1.
Ngathi ke uma sengiqhathanisa ke ngibheka ke impawu ezithize ke noma ama characteristics athile ke akulawo ma mark lawo akuyona ke inhlamvu eshiwo ke ku 3.4.1 kanye na ku 5.2 okodwa ke gcina ungakuthola ke ukuthi inhlamvu eshiwo ku 3.4.1 akusiyona ke eyaphuma ke noma eyayiphuma kule pistol eshiwo noma ekhulunywa ngayo ku 3.1.
The bullet fragments that we have received, because of the damage, we cannot compare it with the test fired. So I couldn't test this one or compare this one to the fired. And then the bullet that I have received, I compare it with the test that I have fired. What you'll do is on your microscope, you put your exhibit on your left-hand side, your test on the right-hand side. You start rotating them. When you look through the eyepiece, you can see both items at the same time. What you'll do is, it's like you matching them. You start looking at the striations caused by the barrel of the firearm. You match these striations until where you can find the matching striations of that. Then you say they were fired in the same firearm. In this instance, you find that the width of the groove on the test bullets and the width on the grooves on the exhibit bullets differs a lot. There's no matching of the class characteristics or the individual markings. So I concluded by saying that this bullet was not fired in this firearm.
Ngase ngigqiba ngithola ke ukuthi ke inhlamvu lena eyatholakala ke uma sengiqhathanisa ke ngisebenzisa indlela ke siyisebenzisa emaphoyiseni ukuthi yona ke lenhlamvu lena ayizange idutshuleke noma iphumeke kusona lesi sibhamu lena ke ngoba ukuthi ke yalimala ke yona ke ngangekho kwisimo sokuthi ngayiqhathanisa ke ngithole.
Colonel, can you just explain what are striations? It's for record purposes.
The striations are the lines or the grooves, and inside the grooves you'll find the lines created by the firearm barrel when the bullet travels or passes through the barrel. Because I said the bullet is a little bit bigger in diameter. So all the striations which are inside the barrel of the firearm will be imprinted on or will be scratched on your bullets. Then we compare that. If you take the firearm, you fire maybe 2-3 shots inside it, the striations on the same, all the 3 bullets will be exactly the same, will match, and that's where you'll find the match. Unless in the instances where, like in this instance, you take the CMJ bullets, you want to compare it with the FMJ. FMJ is a hard bullet. It will pick up most of the marks. The CMJ, because it's a soft bullet, instead of picking up the mark, instead it will shrink a little bit. Some of the marks might not be clearly visible on the CMJ bullets.
Lana ke kunalama lines ke abangaphakathi ke noma inhlamvu uma isiphuma ke esibhamini ama line lawo ke azosala ke noma azosala kuyona inhlamvu uma iphuma kuyona ibarrel abawubiza ukuthi ke ama striations ilawo asiwabhekayo ke asitshelayo ukuthi ngempela ke lana ke isibhamu esisodwa lesi esidubule khona lapha ke futhi ke nanjengoba ke lama bullet kuma bullet amabili ahlukileke iCMJ PCMJ and FMJ enye lena yona ke ngoba ke ithambile yona ke iCMJ lama lines ke wona ke kulula ke ukuthi ungawabona kodwa ke kuyona ke le enye ke uyawabona ke ila siqhathanisa khona suthi impela ke isibhamu esisetshenziswe la isibhamu esisodwa.
Well, if we didn't take the normal short adjournment, can we continue? Yes, fine. I still find to continue.
I'm still fine, madam.
5 minutes, Patrick. 5 minutes. Maybe just 5 minutes.
15 minutes.